Good afternoon, everybody. This is A.L. Johnson with Elevating Men. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about fitness and exercise. It's almost summertime. Winter's over. People are trying to get that fit summer body. People want to be able to look good when they put on those t-shirts and those tank tops. And so, this is the man to give you the information that you need, to make that happen. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce him. We actually did a live stream here a couple of weeks back. He gave us a ton of great information. And so I had to have him back on. And that's the fit pastor, brother Mike Patton. He's at your bottom right of the screen. How you doing, brother Patton?
Hey, how you doing, sir? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. And so Mike is the owner of Mike's Main Event. It's a personal training service. He has a very extensive history in training people and helping them get into the best shapes of their lives. He himself was a professional bodybuilder back in the day. You can't see it in this close frame, but I mean, the brother is like the Hulk. He's like the Hulk sitting over there, and so he can definitely get you wherever you need to be. And then to join us in this conversation, I thought it'd be a good idea to have a couple people who have worked with him directly, so they can kind of share, their testimony. And the results that they've been able to gain. I've got Miss Kim Riley. How you doing, Miss Riley?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. And Bishop Tellis Bolton. How you doing, sir?
There you go, man. This bishop stuff, man.
The bishop is in the house.
Swagoo.
Man, so let's jump into it. Mike, the people are pretty familiar with you from the last live stream, and so I just wanted to maybe start with you, Tellis. What was it that got you started with Mike? I know there's gyms all over the city. You could have got you a quick membership at Planet Fitness and went over there and started working out. But what made you choose to work with Mr. Patton?
Well, honestly, man, I've been knowing Pastor Mike for quite a few years, and I had the opportunity probably about 4 years ago to have a workout session with him, and he hurt me. My arms were killing me for days after that workout. And but we didn't actually link up to continue working out then. So this go around, because I'm still currently working out with him right now, I actually joined the gym where we're at, and we just reconnected. And I mean, I've always kind of been, for years, I say that, been into the mode of really taking care of the temple, the importance of it. And we just had a conversation. He just wanted to go to another level, just kind of beyond just the norm of what I was just used to from a working out standpoint. And we made that connection, and it has been a pleasant but painful experience.
Man, I know about that pain, brother. So tell me this. When you first got with him, like what were your fitness goals? Like, were you, fairly in shape and you were just looking for like more definition and that sort of thing, or were you completely starting from scratch? What was your journey like?
Well, I was already in decent shape, I say that. And the goal, which is still my current goal now, I want to make sure that, I look decent, and if I'm on the beach, you pull your shirt. I don't want to be walking around the beach with a t-shirt on, and I want to make sure that I look right. My wife loves when I, pull my shirt on. I want all that to take place, but then working out with him, it's like you have like the muscle that's like right over there that you really never think about working out. And, it's like
name that muscle.
Exactly, those hidden muscles that you just never pay attention to. He be on that stuff. So it's like it's really experiencing new stuff, man.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, Miss Riley, I had to have you on there. I wanted to get a female perspective, okay? Because there was a couple ladies that were watching the show. They loved the information, but they felt a little intimidated because they said, okay, well, he's a bodybuilder. That's not what I'm looking to do. I'm not looking to be a bodybuilder. I'm just trying to lose a couple inches here or there, feel a little firmer, get my heart rate up and feel healthy. And so from a female perspective, how is it working with Mike? How is it?
It's very challenging working with Mike because I think it's just hard to shift if you're not a gym rat. Shift into giving yourself permission to really work on some fitness goals. I have struggled with my weight most of my life. I've been on a diet, it seems like every Monday of my life. And so I've gone to I can't, we were sitting here trying to remember when I actually started with him, but the goal has always been to look and feel great. And I didn't really have like a number on the scale that I wanted to achieve, but I wanted to be fit. And the goals have changed so much over the years. Like initially, I just wish the pounds would melt off so that I could be at my target weight. And now the goal is to really for the not only for the pounds to come off, but to look incredible, to be toned, to have my body toned. I don't want the excess flab. I want to really have to look. I want to put it to work so that I can get the optimal results. And I knew that Mike could get it done. He's very clear. He knew that I did not want to compete into any type of fitness competition. I tell him my goal is I want one belly and one booty. So, you get to the point
the B&B.
Oh man.
I don't want all like rolls and mounds. I want you to clearly be able to see the difference. And so with that in mind, he doesn't put me on the same regimen that he does, some of his, gym fanatics who have very different goals, who takes you where you are. And I mean, some days he's Michael Joy, some days he's Michelangelo, some days he's pudding pop and pumpkin spice because he can be extra spicy. But but every day he challenges me.
That's great. So let me ask the expert because she actually brought up something that I wanted to ask you anyway. I've actually got this on my pad. Something that I always hear you say, Brother Patton, is to stop watching the scale when you have when you're on a fitness journey. Don't watch the scale. I believe you say watch. Was it watch the inches or what do you look?
Well, what I said was since the scale doesn't watch you, you don't watch it. What watches you? What do you watch? You watch yourself in the mirror. And so the most important thing, and the thing that you want to see change is not necessarily the scale, but your body. And so that entails now changing your metabolism. You have 3 different types of metabolism. And that's why the scale here is really not relevant in the point of getting in shape. The very first thing is that you have muscle metabolism, which means you must press weights, you must lift weights. The aerobics won't do it, especially when I had a lady that came in about 3 weeks ago, and she was at one time 301 pounds. She's down to 158 pounds. It's because she had that gastric bypass surgery and other surgeries. And so now she had enough skin to now really make another creation of another person because all of her muscle had atrophied. So the scale, 158 wasn't suffice for her. And so what happens is that when she saw herself in the mirror, she didn't like what she saw. So I said, what's your biggest audience? She says, well, I don't know. I says, well, look in the mirror. And so you'll either say boo or you'll give yourself a clap. And she hated what she saw. And so the scale became irrelevant. And so with the actual training piece, we have to train now to build the muscle, to tone the muscle. The number 2 is the cardio piece. You have to exercise and get the heart. The strongest muscle in the body is the heart. And the heart now gives blood inside, and it takes blood out of it, in which your deoxygenated blood, the blood now that is the bad blood, goes and gets purified. It recycles itself through the heart, through the vein, then it goes through the artery, and it comes back, good blood. So the body has to be able to go through the circulatory system in order now to be refurbished, to be reoxygenated through the lungs. So you have to have that type of exercise. You have to have cardio exercise. And cardio means aerobic. That means with oxygen. When you're lifting weights, that means anaerobic, means without oxygen. So it doesn't take a lot of oxygen to lift weights. It takes muscle. Muscle comes now with the energy and foods that you eat. So number 3 would be your digestive metabolism. Digestive metabolism means I must put in my body at least enough calories to fit my energy or my output. So you have supply and demand. So if I demand my body Now, to work out, I got to supply with the right foods. If I don't want to be overweight, that means I must eat consistently throughout the deals, at least 3 to 4 eating meals. And if you can't eat it, you drink it. And so once you put all those things systemically together, now your body now becomes operative with the cardio. And I'm speaking towards the scale now. The scale can move, but there's a certain thing as a person being skinny, and there's a certain thing called skinny fat. So just because that you're skinny doesn't mean that you don't carry a lot of body fat. So scale is not the tell-all story. I want to know what my body fat is. So what I do with all my clients, every single person, is I check the body fat. So that's the whole point. You got to have all those three. Now, once we have all those three in place, then once we lose body fat, then when you see the inches go, then you might want to step on the scale just to see. But usually people step on the scale just to make weight for a particular competition, whether it be athletics, whether it be bodybuilding, which is athletics, that type of thing. So that's my point dealing with the scale.
Speak to this a little bit. You talked about the weight versus, just how the body looks. And you referred to, kind of the skinny fat portion of it. How does that work? Because I know I've heard that muscle weighs more than fat, and so it is.
Well, let me make the correction to that. 5 pounds of muscle is the same thing as 5 pounds of fat. Okay. The difference is the density of muscle is better or greater than the fat. So 5 pounds is 5 pounds, but you have a flabby 5 pounds, and then you have a solid 5 pounds.
That makes perfect sense. So, Miss Riley, I want to ask you this: as a woman, he mentioned something really big. He said that cardio is one thing, but for most people to get the body that they want, you have to lift weights. There has to be some sort of resistance training as well. As a woman, were you opposed to that when you first started working out with Mike? Because a lot of the women that I speak to, they say, "Well, I don't want to lift weights because I don't want to get bulky," and that sort of thing. And so, did you have any resistance with that up front?
Initially, I did. It was the same. I had no desire to be muscular. But when I looked at women whose body was ideal for something to aspire to, I realized that they got that sculpted look through weightlifting, through good nutrition, and through water intake. And when I looked at the amount of weight that I needed to lose, I realized that if I didn't want to have like flabby, that I really needed to include weightlifting into it. So it's proven itself true.
So for someone who's wanting to lose weight, Brother Patton, and we're talking about, maybe on the low end of obesity to not morbidly obese, but just a little obese, should they start with just cardio or cardio and weightlifting simultaneously? Sometimes I hear people say things like, well, I'm going to get my diet in check and then I'll start working out. Should all of these things be done together, or is it best to kind of start with each category individually?
Well, let's just take and put this in perspective. Like, Brother Tellis said, when he came in, it wasn't the fact he didn't look good, he wasn't in shape, he just wasn't in condition. So even with him, the very first thing is that, okay, what is your motive? What direction do we want to go? He says, I want to be more in shape than what I am. So the very first thing as we looked at is caloric intake, what that consisted of. And so we had to make a few changes for him because really he and Brother Byron, his brother-in-law, they weren't putting enough calories now to connect into the type of supply and demand. Like I said, there was a lot that was going to put on them. But the very first thing we had to do was we had to concentrate on what we put in. Most people that talk about putting in the right diet, changing their diet, they don't know the actual construct of what a diet is, because a diet does not apply for everybody. Everybody's body has a different genetic disposition that they're predisposed to certain things that they can and cannot metabolize. So that has to be not analytically not outlined by as of nutrition and taking their blood, that type of thing, especially if they have a different type blood type that now say perpetuates or constitutes high blood pressure, diabetes. It could be all different types of things. And so We have to connect to those things to make sure those things first. Then we add in what's needed.
Makes sense. So, Tellis, for you, I watched a couple of the videos, brother. You're working out hard. I mean, he's you putting in some work over there. And so, I wanted to ask you a question about recovery. What methods have you found to help you recover? Because a lot of people, they start that fitness journey, and what kicks them off the bus, so to speak, is they work out a couple times, and dealing with the soreness just makes them not want to go back. And so, how do you deal with that?
Well, first off, I mean, it gives us stuff to take, aminos and that kind of stuff after we get done. But far as the soreness of it, that I embrace it, the soreness. That is not something that I'm looking to avoid. And I think that a lot of people mess up is it's like the pain runs them away. But it's through the pain that's where your growth comes in at. So I'm not looking for, if I go to the gym and I'm not getting that pain, then now I equate it to, well, my growth has been stunted. So I equate the pain with the process of growing. So I've fallen in love with the pain. I mean, the part that I don't like the most as far as being in pain is my legs, but it's just part of it. So it's not something that I look to avoid. That is just part of the process.
Ms. Riley, what is your pain management like when it comes to exercise? How do you take care of that for yourself?
I will be honest, I am 50 and I'm always in pain. So whether I work out or not, something is hurting. So, with that being said, I think I've just trained enough with Mike where I expect it. And like I remember I was really having a lot of pain in like my shoulder and my arms as we were lifting and up in the air. And now, not so much. I did feel some pain today when I woke up, but it was not to the degree of when we first started. We were really magnifying the weight that he has me on. So, if most of us are honest, and if we're in some pain, and if you aren't in any, you keep on living, and you will be. And so you just learn the difference between, I guess, the good pain and no pain, no gain, and the bad pain of being sedentary and just, just kind of slugging through life.
What would you say are your biggest benefits since you started working out consistently? What have you noticed different about yourself outside of your body changing or losing weight specifically? Do you feel any difference? Any difference in confidence? What have you gained from it?
Well, this time around, I remember being very intentional when I came to the gym. I had, again, struggled with my weight my whole life. And so when I wanted to get my head right and really kind of lose the mental weight. And so when I came back, I had been down 20 pounds and I felt like I was consistent and I was ready to go. And so when I did, I I so now that I've been at it a while, since like late June, I feel more confident. I definitely have more energy. I just things like getting out of the car um with a different ease than I did before. It definitely makes a difference.
Yeah, I notice the biggest difference I notice is my energy level throughout the day. And so when I'm on top of it, I've got all the energy I need to, tackle all the tasks I need to take care of in my business, whatever I need to take care of at home. It just really gives me that energy. And so, a lot of people would think the alternative, you're working out, it's draining you, but actually that exercise does give you more energy, over time, as long as you're consistent with it. I did have a question for you, Brother Patton. So the last time you were on, there was someone who's in the rehabilitation phase from a surgery. They're looking to lose weight, but they aren't able to do traditional cardio like, a bicycle, a treadmill, or anything along those lines. What can a person do to keep their weight in check while they're somewhat sedentary?
So that in two parts.
When a person is, say, injured.
Yeah, what I'm saying is though, can I address one situation about the pain
Oh, for sure.
and then go to that? Can I do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, let me give you this soliloquy to break down now when they were both talking about pain, especially Tillis. Brother Tillis has a beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous house. Okay. Now, in order for that house to now be built, the architecture now had to give the framework of now what type of house he wanted. And so, therefore, what they had to do is they had to dig inside the very deepest part of that dirt to begin now to lay out all the specific pieces so it had a foundation. So as they dug, a lot of dust and a lot of grime, a lot of garbage had to be moved out of the way in order now to put that foundation and put those beams so that house will stand.
Mm.
When you work out, there's a lot of garbage you've eaten. There's a sedentary life you've had that you got to get out of the way so we can set the foundation. So now you have to go through this discomfort. It's not really a pain, but we equate it with pain, but it's a discomfort. That whole ground that house is built on, that he has and that he's in, had to go through some things to move out of the way so the newness can get in the way. So now you see the foundation of that house. The body works the same way. Now, to get to the question, and I hope I was able to answer that adequately, that one can understand.
Hmm.
Now, number two, so far as the rehab is concerned, I have a person right now, Mike Carter. And I know Kim is dealing with her needs. We have other people that have different types of conditions. The very first thing is to make sure that we now are in alignment with the MRI that has been taken, the type of plutonium or whatever that may be in that person's knee or their shoulder or what kind of rehab or what kind of surgery that they had. And so I have to now look at those things and have to be able to now articulate the type of therapy and movement and motions that they cannot have. Because normally when a person has a type of, let's say, knee replacement, they end up now with certain therapy that usually lasts 8 to 10 weeks. Then we want to do now is to increase the body's range of motion. In other words, you cannot do certain type of cardio because now it puts added pressure to certain areas, whether it be something that you've had in your stomach or operation there. I have a woman right now which is pregnant. She had a C-section, so that was cold. So there's certain things we cannot do. So what I do is I find out the epicenter of what now the particular, say, arrangement or rearrangement or the replacement of the knee, or let's just say the shoulder, and it may be a person that has had a rotary cuff surgery. So we have to now dig to those things. Then we have to look at now the range of motion. So the very first thing we do is we stretch. We don't worry about the magnifying the exercise. Or say for instance, that person wants to do cardio and they have a knee replacement or a hip replacement. We put them on a recumbent bike, something that they don't put an impact on the hip or an impact on the knee, something very soft, so that over a period of time, they build up to now recovery. Everybody's different. Everybody's body structure is different. Their height, whether it be mesomorph, endomorph, ectomorph. Now, what I just said about those words means that their height, the amount of weight they have, now has to be now modified and it has to be paid attention to so that now we can move from one step to the other. So that's how I would answer that question.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Anyone that wants to jump into on this one, but what do you feel is the biggest difference in exercising alone? You know, just getting the membership and going and working out on your own versus working with a trainer. What do you feel is the biggest difference in that? Anyone?
Well, I know I worked out on my, um, you know, I like I really liked and enjoyed walking, and I was walking 4 to 6, even 7 miles a day. And so I could feel my stamina increasing, and it was really peaceful. I'd have my earbuds in and listening to music or maybe an audio book or a podcast. But I knew that something was missing. I knew that I needed to. I wanted to build muscle. I wanted to be toned, and I also needed to be challenged. So I needed to add on to that. And so I think so. Training with Mike takes me out of my comfort zone. He will have me to lift higher than I think that I can do. And sometimes, sometimes we slow down, but many times he will, challenge me to do movements that I never thought that I would be doing by now. And so I think that it's just about, if you want something that you've never had, you have to do something that you've never done. And I decided that now was the time. I felt like with the pandemic, there we have very few options anyway for just focusing on our nutrition. Also, for those of us who have student loans, we don't have to pay those for a while. So this is a time to make the investment. And so I thought there was a number of factors that just made this the right time to really train and to focus on Kim. I focus on everyone else, and I decided to make myself a priority.
You was muted, my Johnson. We didn't hear nothing you just said.
Yeah, you can hear me now.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
Tellis, we both work in the same industry, helping people with their insurance. And so, with that, we're always asking health questions. We're asking people their height and weight, different medications that they have to take. And in our community specifically, there's a lot of people who have succumbed to a sedentary lifestyle and poor eating habits.
Mhm.
And so my question to you is, what do you think is the cause of that in our community? Our obesity rate, our rate of heart attacks, our rate of strokes, all of that is much higher than other cultures. What do you feel that the reason for that is?
Diet and exercise, I believe, is tremendously one of them, or two of them, if you want to call it that. I would just say, even if you didn't work out, I mean, your diet is extremely important. I do believe, just if not all, most of the diseases that we deal with, it comes from what we put in our mouth. And I think, just from a normal standpoint, growing up, I use myself for example. Growing up, being athletic, playing sports all the time, a lot of the foolishness that I ate, I burned it off, running up and down a basketball court. But now, as adults, most of us, we go to work, we sit down all day, right? We eat the same foolishness. We come home, we sit down all day, we eat the same foolishness, and we're not burning stuff off. So a lot of the stuff that we would burn off, up and down the basketball court, we're not doing that no more. So it just sits, as waste within our body. Even if it wasn't good then, but we had something to at least counteract it, but now it's like we have to be mindful of what we're eating, what we're consuming, if we're going to, really want to, have a long life. Where God is ultimately in control, but I believe we determine the quality of it, and what we eat and how we take care of ourselves is extremely important. I believe how I take care of myself is me saying it's a thank you to God for life. I think if I'm poor with my body, then to me that is a poor. I'm saying God, just how unappreciative I am of Him giving me the ability to live here. So we got to be mindful. We can't eat stuff whatever we want and just expect God to just keep sickness and disease away from us. We got to be mindful of these things. If I answered your question.
No, I like how you put that. It's really about self-accountability, self-responsibility. God does give us free will, and so we have to take that free will and make good decisions with it. When you got serious about your fitness journey, as far as diet is concerned, what was the biggest change that you had to make? As far as, were there any particular foods that you cut out, any particular foods that you added in? What were the biggest changes for you diet-wise?
Honestly, man, I'm that type of person where when I see the need to do something, I just do it. And I don't want to be sick, and when I see certain things transpiring, I say this: I was a fried foods lover. Your fried chicken and of course, your cornbread and stuff. Yeah, I can't say
Bro,
I do.
we all love fried chicken, man. You ain't by yourself on that one.
So just like literally just overindulging in it, man. I'm like, it's just certain things that we just know that's just not, for us. even even if we were to go spiritual with it, if we go back and look at, when God gave gave an Adam, what we were supposed to eat, if you really think about it, meat was not in that regimen. It was not in the list, on the list. Eating meat did not come about, until after the fall of man. I'm not saying it's sinful to eat meat, but it wasn't God's original intention. I do believe that those things can have a negative effect on our bodies if we don't do it in the right portions, if you will. So it's just being intentional with what we're eating, what we're doing on a regular basis. And in most cases, I can't say all, but most of us, it's like we want to do what we want to do, but yet expect through our prayer life that God keeps sickness and disease and everything else away from us. So I had to slow down on the fried chicken. I had to slow down on those biscuits and all that kind of stuff, man.
Yeah, and when you use that Bible reference, that reminds me of when the devil tempted Jesus and he told him, hey, if you jump off this cliff, the angels are going to catch you. It's kind of the same thing. He said, well, no, I'm not going to, you shouldn't tempt the Lord your God. And so that's essentially what you're doing when you're eating all these bad foods and then trying to pray it away. It's a form of testing God in a negative way. Yes, sir, Brother Patton.
If I can get theological here for a little bit too, but this here, just a tad. Could you imagine with all the terrain that Jesus, let's put Jesus and John the Baptist, because at the time before Jesus came, John the Baptist had a bigger ministry. Can you imagine if they were overweight, how far they could go? Do you know what John the Baptist ate? Locusts and honey. Locusts had the protein and honey had the carb. And so they were able to facilitate through that hot terrain in the Mideast, in the Middle East, on not concrete, but in sand and sandals. Could you imagine if they were all overweight, how much distance that they would have, man? Those are some in shape folk.
Absolutely. Right, for sure.
Now we just don't go to church on Sundays. We go to churches up the street. Then we go to Popeyes. We go, right. and then we have what they call the chitterlings. Still got that type of mentality that was given to us as slaves. We got to get out of the slave mentality and understand your body was bought with a price. It's not your own.
That's right. Now,
it houses the Holy Spirit.
Right. Now I got to get this question out here. So, Miss Riley, most diet products are marketed towards women. You got all these, skinny teas, these different, weight loss pills, and they're pushed really heavily. How do you as a woman kind of resist that, block out that noise and say, you know what, I understand that that's just a fad, or I understand that they're just trying to get some money and maybe it's just a diuretic, but what I really need to do is control my diet and exercise? How do you drown out the noise?
I think I've gotten to where I want to be healthy for the rest of my life. I don't want any gimmicks. This is not a kind of a race to, was it to fit into the cute little dress for the wedding or the class reunion or any of that. This is the life that I want to live the rest of my life. And so I don't have any foods that are off limits for me. Christmas time came and oh boy, I enjoyed myself with all the, all the delicacies, that come along with the holidays. But first of the year, okay, I had fun. Now it's time to get back on track. So I think that it's about just really getting to a point where you decide what you want to do for the rest of your life, and then really focusing and giving yourself some grace along the way. If you get off track, okay, you got off track, but get back on. So that's where I am with it.
On the diets, excuse me, I keep muting so I can make sure there's no echo when you guys are talking. But when it comes to the different diets that are out there, we know we've got, the keto diet, this Mediterranean diet. A lot of people are going vegan now. What are your thoughts on that? Is there any particular diet type that you prefer? What are your thoughts?
Is that directed to me?
Yes, sir.
Well, again, I think the diet that you do has to do with a lot of the supply and demand. How active are you? For a person that lives a sedentary lifestyle, I think a vegan diet is great because they're not going to facilitate a lot of action and movement, muscle being broken down. For a person that's breaking muscle down, which is called catabolic state, you break muscle down, you got to have protein to put muscle in. You don't get enough protein. I believe for a person who wants to really build a dense muscle. And let me get this one thing straight dealing with women. Women, you don't have enough testosterone to look like a man unless you take a steroid. Okay. You, when you lift weights, are not going to look like a man. When you see women like that, they have the genetics that now have a little bit more added testosterone. They've been lifting for a long time, or they have that genetic disposition from their male part of their dad or their mom, mainly from the guy, but it won't happen. Okay. So stop. Please don't put that into your vocabulary. Anyway, back to this particular point of diet. When you get into the keto diet, the body, if you're lifting weights and you're trained, can go into a point of ketosis. So therefore, the energy does not come from the glucose, which is stored as glycogen in the skeletal muscle tissue. And that's a whole lot of words I'm saying, I know. But the body has to have energy that comes from food. Okay, you don't want it to come from muscle, because if that happens, then the muscle will atrophy. What does the word atrophy mean? Atrophy means it gets small, it loses its size, you become lethargic. You now don't have enough energy, hardly even walk up the stairs, and then you sometimes even get dizzy because now you don't have enough sugar now that regulates the pancreas, that now regulates the points of the sugar levels in the body. And so now your insulin levels are all messed up. And so now you just sit and you just become dormant. Now, for a person that doesn't do anything, being dormant is what you do. Is dormant is as dormant does. But for a person that has an active lifestyle, you take like the diet that what's the tall guy that was the swimmer?
Michael Phelps.
Michael Phelps. This guy, 10,000 calories a day. Okay, 10,000. He's 6'11", 10,000. But look what he was doing. This guy was swimming miles and miles and miles. He had to have energy to do that, right? Now, even if the guy stops, which he has retired, and doesn't do that, now his caloric intake isn't as much. Why? Because the supply and demand. He doesn't do as much. But you take a guy like me, when I was competing, just like I had Tellis, I had to raise up his calories to keep up now with the demand I had, with the amount of weight he had to put in. I put in 7,000 calories a day, right? I was at 82, 3 pounds, and I still had 18%, 17% body fat. But look how I was trained, and look at the type of calories I was cutting in. You take like Sister Kim, right? A lot of people that got her size, she's lost 90 pounds. 90 pounds. She took off almost another person. But I could not drop her calories so low because the supply and demand says I have her lifting a lot of weights. We're doing a lot of cardio. We're doing a lot of other things. So she had now to facilitate and put in the facilitation of food that's going to give her energy to do that. So I couldn't drop her calories down. Had to really bring her calories up so she can go through and recover and do the types of exercises that I had her to do to now make the muscle lean.
Well, I gotta say, congratulations to you, Kim. That's a big accomplishment. 90 pounds. Congratulations.
Her name is now Shaniqua.
She went from Kim to Shaniqua with the weight loss.
Shaniqua Shakrita.
That is hilarious. That's hilarious. Well, no, I appreciate you guys' time. I just really wanted to, give you guys a second to just really speak to your personal experience, on your fitness journey and on your health journey with Brother Patton here. It sounds like you guys are both getting amazing results. And so I just wanted to ask everybody one last question for anyone who's listening and they may be considering starting their fitness journey. Just what would be a bit of advice and encouragement that you can give them? I'll start with you, Ms. Riley.
I would encourage people to take the advice that they would give to someone else. If someone came to you and really spoke from their heart and shared that, they don't have the energy that they would like to have, that they feel that, they have dreams that they want to accomplish, and they just don't feel that they are fit enough to even pursue their dreams, that they don't feel beautiful. They, all the things that we tell ourselves when we know that we are not at our best and we're not where we could be or should be. I would encourage um, people to take the advice that they give to someone else and to give to themselves the gift that they deserve. You deserve it. If it was your child, spouse, if it was someone you love, you would encourage them to make the investment in themselves. So I would encourage anyone else who's thinking of taking the fitness journey to love themselves enough to invest in themselves.
That's beautiful. Tellis, just last words, final words of encouragement for someone starting their fitness journey.
Well, so someone starting, or I think you might have said someone thinking about starting, whichever one it is. What I would tell you is, of course, to stop thinking about it and just do it. There's nothing bad that will come about from it. I heard a guy say this before, and it stuck with me years ago. He said, a person that doesn't work out, a person that who's not intentional about their fitness, eating, the whole nine, he said, lacks a goal for how long they want to live. And that stuck with me. And I think so often that's what we do. We just kind of go through, and what happens as far as what life is concerned. So if you value life, if you value having a healthy life, you need to take care of your body. You need to take care of your temple. That God has given us, these bodies, and we need to be intentional with what we're doing with it, what we're putting in it. We live every day. We only die once. And I believe we play a vital role in the quality of the life that we live. So if you desire quality of life where your health is concerned, you need to take care of yourself. One thing about sickness and diseases, I'm gonna finish with this, is that we see stuff like, we say stuff like high blood pressure and diabetes. This is hereditary, it runs, in our family. Well, this is one thing I think about. Well, in most cases, we get the same diseases is because we have the same workout regimen. We have the same food, the same diet. We eat the same things that our parents who have high blood pressure and diabetes had. We eat the same stuff that they eat. We work out. We don't work out. They didn't work out. So in most cases, we're going to get the same thing. So if you want something different, Mrs. Kim said something about this earlier. If you want something different, you got to do something different. So take care of your bodies. You're going to love it. You're going to love the results, and embrace the journey of it. Don't get consumed with fast results. Embrace a new lifestyle, and then the results will come as the lifestyle changes.
Those are great words, bro. Great words. Great words. And the expert, Brother Patton, what would be your final words for someone who's considering starting their fitness journey?
Well, very first thing, you really need to go see Mike Patton.
Absolutely.
Okay? Because now you're in a situation with somebody that has over 32 years of experience. He's now trained over thousands of those that he's gotten just great, absolute blessed results from, because he has tenacity. He has that point now of motivation. He sticks with you through the journey. The Bible says, so the strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak. So it's a point of accountability, someone that will meet you right where you are, not try to make you something that you cannot be or don't want. He meets you at the very center of now where you are with your self-imaging, just like what Ms. Kim said and Tellis said. And the point that for Black folks, we are on the highest rate of health-related risk. Women are at 93, men are at 88, dealing with hypertension, high blood pressure, chronic heart failure, and then the silent killer is hypertension. So right now is the time to make that conscious decision. The day that you hear my word, harden not your heart. So you're hearing the hearts of those now that have gotten results. You're hearing the heart of the person that's passionate about now what he believes, what he's done, what God has called him to do. And that's to help people get themselves in shape now to be accountable to someone that can help them when they're at a point in time that they don't know. Now we eliminate what we call excuses. And so excuses now are nothing more than well-planned lies. Once you find out in yourself that you need to make that change, you dial that number 816-916-3503, and you get a chance to talk and consultate with me. And because my consultation is a fee, free. What we do is we FET. It is called a fitness evaluation test. Give you the outline. You make this decision from there. Now, which direction you should go with the help of the experience, which would be myself.
Definitely reach out to them, people. And for those of them that don't know the FET, just really quickly, what does that entail? What will they learn from that and take away?
Well, what we would do is first of all, not the scale, we would take the body fat, the bicep, tricep, subscapularis in the back, and the iliac crest around the waist. Now we would see where your body fat is based upon your age, based upon your level of activity, really based upon your age. Then what we would do, we would take the measurements of your shoulder, your chest, your abdomen, your waist, your thigh, and your arm. And so we would see if your body's in symmetry. Some people have the pear shape, some people have the hourglass. And so how we would now get that body much to the hourglass that we can. How long would it take? How many days would it take? What would my diet be? So then we have now the point of you writing down and outlining. I have a sheet of what things are you more apt to eat during the week. How do you spend your money? Is it more on the outside and doing the hair and doing the nails and doing all the other things? Is that the most important when you make your investment on non-essential items so far as going out to eat? Or would you like to make and turn that investment into now how and what you can put on the inside so you can look right on the outside?
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And then just one more time for the people that may have missed it. This is Mike's main event. And then how exactly can they contact you? What's the best way to reach you?
You can reach me at 816-916-3503. And if you look up MikePatton.com, you can see a long resume of my success stories, me individually also, but it's not about me. It's about what I've done for others and what we do for others here at Total Body Fitness. I'm located here 3680 Northeast Aiken Drive in Lee's Summit. And we have a 24-hour service here. And you can catch me at 5:30 in the morning. You can catch me all the way up until 7:30 at night. And so, just like the song, the sign says on the shirt, let's do it, just do it, because now it's time to get to it.
That's right. That's right.
And the sign says behind you, no days off.
That's right. That's right. Well, I appreciate all of you taking your time out to share this information with my audience. I really do. And for all of you that have tuned in, thanks for watching. If you have any additional questions, leave those in the comments. Myself and Mr. Patton will be in there for the next half hour or so. But definitely at least get the consultation. Understand where you're at, your body fat percentage, your ratios, your measurements and things like that. It's a good starting point, to really get on that fitness journey and have some goals and some very specific goals that you're going after. And so thank you everyone for tuning in. Don't let this be another year that you go by and not be in the best shape of your life. Get with Mike and he'll get you right. He'll get you right. Thanks for tuning in. Everybody have a great day.
Amen.